Alright, I already know that somebody's probably looking at the title, the thumbnail, maybe, whatever what I decided to do, and essentially they're probably looking at this like, what in the actual hell are you on right now? And to keep it very much a stack, this is a video I've been planning for a good minute, and to keep it very much a stack, I got no clue if this will work. I have no idea if this will be something that, obviously will reach Chibi, or anybody that's literally having any sort of push in motion. But I'm just going to do it anyway, and if it doesn't work out, then it's a failed video, and it is what it is. But ultimately though, there is a lot of news and information that's been coming out recently, with a lot of things that obviously has been challenging the things that we like, which is anime, which is games, which is just things that we do to just get away from the real world. Our escapism, basically. It's always at peril for some reason, and it's always been this way for some change of time, and I don't really get why. Right? It's been just a lot of crazy ass censorship, a lot of crazy ass individuals and people at power and whatever that just basically is trying to hoe every single person on the planet for whatever reason. First it started with fictional content, then it went to NSFW type of content. Now it's basically affecting the entire planet, and we don't have a solid reason as to what is this jump into doing so, but ultimately it has just been the thing that's been going. And there has been so much news in so many different places as to why this is all happening or what is going on and everything like that of the sort, right? It has just been a constant cluster of absolute nonsense that is just basically just more attached together than a homeless person and cardboard. Like, that's essentially what we got here. But when it comes down to it though, it's just a lot. Like, literally take your pick of what we could talk about. Whether it is AI getting really crazy with the Sora 2, and essentially they're just really out here replicating the whole ass shows like it ain't nothing, or at least to a high extent better than what we ever have seen. Whether it's Collective Shout out here basically saying like, yeah, books for children should also be sex books and things like that to be a conversation starter or whatever the hell, which is ridiculous and absolutely crazy and literally the most wilding thing that we could ever really see them honestly do. And they have literally, no one has a problem with that, but then payment processors go out their way to take down things like Manga Planet and really all of these other sites that has like these manga hosting sites, and a lot of these Japan sites that actually is legal and fine, and yet these payment processors hold them for whatever reason. Whether it's the UK being on nonsense, basically trying to hold basically people in and out of the UK for whatever reason. It is a gigantic, enormous hellscape of things that are just going on, and there is literally no stop in sight. There's dead ass no way to really cover everything at all realistically, and that's a challenge, right? That's an absolute challenge, honestly. And I never really thought I would have talked about a lot of this stuff as someone that wanted to do anime content creation, because I was just like, we'll just talk about some fine ass women right over here, some nice waifus, and call it a day, and that's just how it is. But ultimately we can't necessarily just do that, because a lot of what's going on now is very much threatening a lot of the stuff that we actually do like, which is why I do shift up and rant about certain things in the news or get my thoughts about certain things that happen, because it is very much affecting that area too, or it could affect that area as well. And I want all the bases that we can get covered, basically covered as much as possible. And that's why, as much as it really is annoying to do news sometimes, I still do it anyway, because obviously we need people to know what's going on, to be smart about what's going on, and all that sort of jazz. Which brings me to today's topic, essentially, or at least not really like I guess a command or a demand or whatever, but more of a request when it comes down to it, for the greater, wider scale of just people in general, and mainly content creators when it comes down to it, right? So obviously, if you've been paying attention to the channel, and if you've seen the video yesterday, we did something called Artist Appreciation, which is something I basically do just to kind of shout out different artists I really like for their artwork and stuff like that, right? The whole point of going forward of what I wanted to do with that is essentially get smaller creators and smaller artists to come through, show me their work, and if I resonate with it, I'll go ahead and drop you into a video, because you know you should definitely get more people to come through and see your work, and you should definitely make that a career if you actually are aiming for it, and hopefully that will be a good first step for you. That's what I want for content creation, right? For certain people that has the motion, that has the power to actually look at smaller channels, or look at people that is very much also talking about the news, and you know, talking about things that's been going on, and obviously observe them and see whether or not they actually should get a boost in terms of what they're trying to do, and then at the very same time keep them talking about things that's going on and keep them going the way they need to go, so we can actually inform more people. When it comes down to it, I understand that very much can sound like a risk, or it could very much sound like something strangely weird, but is it that weird really? Because let's be honest, again, there's a ton of different pieces of news that is out there. Chibi himself has said multiple times that, you know, there's a certain instance that's happening and yet nobody is talking about it. And it's not the fact that people aren't talking about it, it's more so the fact that no one knows who we are. No one knows what people is out there, right? There's tons of people that is talking about it. That's not just a Chibi Reviews or just a Osmond Gold or a Hero. Hey, you got people like Hypnotic that is also out there as well, right? You got Paper Bag Boy that is out there as well talking about certain stuff. Yellow Flash, you might have heard of him. Plenty of different people that's out there, you know, talking, some decently sized, but also people out there that just talking in general, right? Myself, very much so, is someone that's, you know, been talking about a lot of news, and maybe not necessarily giving you new information. I do make you look at it from maybe a different angle that maybe you haven't thought of, or, you know, however you basically take these rant videos, these news videos or whatever, and kind of think about it in a different sort of way. At least that's what I try to do, you know? And so that's like the big thing when it comes down to it. You can definitely have a strong voice when it comes down to a lot of news stuff that happens, a lot of things that's going on, but having a strong voice is one thing, and you can definitely reach a lot of people, but strength in numbers when it comes down to who's actually saying what and all this sort of stuff is actually a lot more helpful as well. And I feel like we could get definitely a lot of people out there when it comes down to knowing what's going on news-wise or whatever, if, you know, more people are actually growing their channels and actually being able to do what they need to do to actually, you know, get people informed, right? Because as we already know, on the content creator side, YouTube sucks ass right now. No one's getting any sort of viewership, no one's getting any sort of motion, right? If you're a smaller channel, you're not really getting much of anything because of the weird ass algorithm that YouTube has, and it's a terrible time. It's a absolute terrible time. Not a lot of people can watch certain videos that I do when it comes down to things on the news or just things in general, because, you know, YouTube's not pushing out the content as they should, and it's just really ridiculous, right? Ever since August, that's been the whole vibe and thing, and it's been some nonsense. So honestly, a helpful boost by another content creator or just people in general would be absolutely helpful when it comes down to it, right? And granted, again, is every video going to be a news related video? Of course not. At this point, when it comes down to this channel, like I said before many years ago, I want this place to be random. I want this place to be fun, but also something that we can actually, you know, have a conversation with and learn and have intelligent conversations and stuff like that, right? I want you to have the intelligent conversations, but I also want you to have fun at the very same time, and that's the balancing act I try to do when it comes down to this channel. And even though I've been definitely trying to balance that out, and I think I've been balancing out kind of decently, at least recently, you know, obviously don't really hold too much, or at least even especially things of the news, regardless, it doesn't really hold up too much if, you know, not a lot of people is there to hear or to listen, because there is some people that do get their news through this channel, and, you know, maybe they don't get all the complete information of what's going on, or maybe they don't necessarily be able to spread it out a lot more because this channel is so small, and that's just how it is, right? So that's like another thing to even consider. Like, to be absolutely honest, I don't think there is a bad call at trying to make another channel kind of come through and let them kind of talk about the very same stuff as well. And if this is some sort of like competition thing, or like you don't want viewership getting taken away from you because of somebody else or something like that, I think that's a little weird. I think that's a little stupid. Maybe on the high levels of content creation, sure, you might feel that way when it comes down to it because of, you know, people being very much egotistical or whatever. But ultimately, this is about getting the news out there. This is about, you know, getting people informed at least, right? Or think carefully about a certain situation. Because at this point, there is literally so much, again, things that are happening and ways to think about things that it is impossible for just Chibi, just Osmond, and just Hirohei, or whoever that is out there to basically just cover all this stuff without any new people coming through, because they are only going to make so many videos a day. They're only going to talk about so many certain things, and you know, a topic that they might not cover is something that could be crucial, and then I might cover, but then, oh look, I can't really do too much, and it might only get 1k view or 2k views because, you know, the channel is so small. So that's basically, really, this video is like a call to action, I would say, to help out smaller creators, you know, not just myself, but help out smaller creators when it comes down to it, and just a call to action just to, you know, get other creators involved to blow up or boost, at least at some level, their channels when it comes down to it. Because again, there's not any shape and form that everybody's gonna be able to cover everything that's going on, or at least talk about certain things that's obviously a real deal, you know, issue that's happening. And we definitely could use a lot more people within the field. It ain't no time to be trying to, you know, be like, oh, they're gonna take my viewership. I need that for crack money. But honestly, no, it's not the time for that. It's basically the time for people to be united and actually stand together against bullshitters like the payment processors, against governments that like to basically take people's rights away and censor the hell out of them for whatever reason, against Collective Shout and other activist groups like that, because obviously they don't want to necessarily have anime and all this other stuff be a thing, but are super fine with like the most, you know, sexual content to be right in front of children's faces like it ain't nothing. Like, did you not see the shit with Netflix? Which that's also another thing. Netflix with the weird ass shows that be for kids with having trans characters in it and whatever, right? These little bastards don't even know what shapes are, let alone the Pythagorean theorem at all, and yet you want to tell them what being trans is? Something that's obviously way more complicated than it really needs to be. It's ridiculous. It definitely is. And really, if we're gonna be honest, they're the reason why age verification is a thing, right? Because people like this that pushes shit like that in front of kids' faces, and they're the reason why age verification is being such a hard spoken thing when literally no one else needs this. They do, and unfortunately they're the only people that they're really in charge, and so they're gonna hold everybody else to thinking, no, age verification is a good thing. Actually, we need that across the board, when bitch, you're the one that's pushing for that shit in your weird ass ways. Like, you didn't necessarily bash on cuties when you should have, because let's be honest, that movie was some weird shit. You didn't bash, really no one bashes the middle-aged white woman housewife that basically go out their way to write these weird ass kinky ass books or whatever that's just terribly written and be like, oh, this is fun, but then anime or whatever is the damn problem, games are the problem. And then you have basically people like Collective Shout that wants to go into these full-blown religious mindsets of everybody must follow this principle, this protocol, which is gonna make people, one, straight up hate the hell out of you, two, really not care about religion at all, and then push that away, which is not really a good move. And at the very same time, it's just forcing a practice that should not be forced. You cannot force a practice on people, because all that's going to do is make them want to, you know, very much go out of their way to just say, no, we're not having that, get that out of our face, and all that sort of stuff, which could end up becoming another political power move at the end of everything. Because let's just say, you know, Collective Shout try to actually, or whoever the hell's in charge government wise, let's just say they try to really go this religious route and try to straight up like ban, or, you know, try to outright like outlaw adult content and stuff like that. That could just legitimately be a power move where that could basically get, people to do away with stuff like religion or things of sort like that. Or there could be a point in censorship where they're like, you know what, the Bible is too much, so we need to take that down. We need to, censor the Bible now even more than it already has been. And that's ridiculous. That would be a scary behind day. And at that point, if faith wasn't lost in humanity, I don't know what point would be a true sign of that. But my whole point of what I'm trying to get at is really for anybody, Hero Hey, and Osmongold, a Chibi Reviews, whoever is out there essentially, who can definitely help out the smaller creators that very much talk about these sort of things, that very much sound like they actually, voicing strong and solid opinions about things and whatever, and that does cover stuff, definitely help them out. Like, help them out. Help me, sure, as well, but also help out other creators too. Because ultimately, if we don't have a lot of people knowing what's going on, very much advocating this sort of stuff as well, we're cooked. We're genuinely cooked, and there's not going to be much that we could do afterwards. So again, yes, is this a somewhat of a call out, but not the type of call out you would think, right? It is a call out for help, essentially, a call to action for creators like me to come through and hopefully get some sort of like recommendation or some sort of boost or whatever. And the reason why I also want to put this out as early as possible is because, I want to get this a fair chance to be in the eyes of whoever is a big content creator or who has motion or whatever, to push this out there in front of their face so we can maybe get something going, so it ultimately can help benefit a lot more people, the creator themselves and the people in general, by getting more information and thinking about certain things maybe a different way, right? I might not be great at covering the news entirely, and sure, I might not necessarily know exactly to the utmost T of what's going on, but I can definitely tell you that there is bullshit at play, and there's definitely some things that is scary that we should be thinking about. And ultimately, it wouldn't do much good if it's only going to be just directed to hundreds of people at a time, or maybe like 1,000 or 2,000 people. It's not good. It's not good enough. Again, there is strength in numbers. The more people that knows about what's going on, the BS that's going on, the better our chances is for making stuff happen. That's just how it is. Or at least we might have a fighting chance to make things happen. Who knows, right? The world is going crazy. And honestly, the more people to call this out, the more people could see, maybe there might be a slim chance we could fight back and do something against it. That's really, in truth, all I'm trying to accomplish when it comes down to anything of the rants or the news or whatever. Like, that's genuinely how I feel. So, again, to Chibi Reviews, to Osmongold, to basically anybody that has that sort of motion, yes, again, somebody could very much say this is a selfish move for you to just try to, ride somebody's coattail or whatever. Yes, sure, fine, yeah, that is a move. But also, a bigger part of that move is to help other people out, right? To get them very much in the know of what's going on, and hopefully getting people to fight back in whatever way possible. Like, again, I don't see how this could be a bad thing. I don't see how this idea of wanting to help out smaller channels or whoever that does do things like this would be a bad move. I am, again, still at the end of the day an anime content creator. I still very much want to talk about anime and love the genre and do all the stuff regarding it, no matter how wild and crazy it is. But ultimately, I can't sit here and enjoy talking about anime nearly as much when you got really ridiculous things that is just happening that is just making people more slower by the day, and it's just absolutely stupid just in general. And ultimately, I can't just sit here and enjoy talking about content and really of anime and stuff like that when things like this threaten the very thing I absolutely love to talk about. And if this helps out and if it works out for me, cool. And also, more people's gonna know about stuff now, so that's just how that is. But ultimately, that's really what I wanted to say for this one. It's been on my mind for a minute, really, since I started doing like the arts appreciation in the way I've been doing it recently, and really just made me think like, well, if we could fix people up a little bit here to at least start them out to be different, to get them a little bit of a boost in a way to kind of help their their content of their art and whatever, then why can't it be the same for content creation? Like, it should be, right? So at least that's how I think. So that's all I got to say for this one. Please share this around to Chibi's community, share it around to you know, himself, and really a lot of these other content creators as well, their communities, to them themselves, however you can, because again, we definitely need to fight back as hard as we possibly can, because it's only going to get worse from here. And the more united we are, the less shit will possibly maybe be so bad. At least that's my hope. But yeah, that's again all I really want to say for this one. So hopefully you did enjoy. If you did, be sure to like, share, subscribe, hit the bell notification on your way out. Also follow my socials, and if you'd like to donate to the channel, Kofi and Cash App is available as well. And also, I guess one more thing real quick is that we've already had other content creators that we try to put this in front of, like, you know, bigger anime content creators, like the biggest ones, like obviously people at Trash Chase or whatever. And we've seen the results of that. They didn't take it seriously. They didn't really care too much about it at all. And they just brushed it off like it's nothing. And then it's up to people like, you know, the ones that we've been seeing talking about it, you know, it's been up to them essentially. So if they're not gonna do it, why not build somebody else up to kind of take that position to kind of talk about stuff like this? So again, just think about it. But again, that's all I wanted to say. So until then, it's my boy Jay, sign off. Have a blessed day.